evening, everybody. My name is Samvita. I'm a fourth year civil engineering student and I'm contesting for the post of Cultural Affairs Secretary Lit. I'd like to talk about my vision for this year. My vision is to ensure that IIT Madras as a campus has a vibrant cultural atmosphere. I believe that we should look to widen the scope of activities that we presently have, which revolve around the cultural clubs and LITSOC, and expand so as to ensure that every member of the student community and the campus community has something to participate in. I also wish to ensure that Sarang, as the Institute's cultural festival, expands its horizons, diversifies, and is more sustainable in the long run. Keeping in line with my vision for this year, I plan to launch an initiative called Involve, which ensures that all the students of the campus community are involved in the cultural atmosphere. What the cultural atmosphere presently revolves around is just the cultural clubs and LITSOC, and I plan to widen the scope of activities to ensure that even people who aren't necessarily interested in just the clubs and LITSOC also have some stake in the cultural community. I plan to launch a few initiatives that I hope will help achieve this. The first is the launch of a Chennai Heritage Club. One thing that I perceive being a member of the student community is a severe disconnect between the campus and the rest of the city around us. I consider this a huge shortcoming considering the rich culture and history that Chennai as a city has to offer. I hope to address this by launching a Chennai Heritage Club, the activities of which will include conducting heritage walks, movie screenings, and an institute-wide celebration of Madras Day, which take place on August 22nd. We live on a campus which is 8,000 strong and consists of students from all over the country. One of the things that our campus is very rich in is cultural diversity, and as an institute, we don't really do much to celebrate it on an institute level. What I would like to do is conduct an ethnic extravaganza, which will serve as a platform to bring all these cultures together and celebrate the diversity that we all have to offer. Postgraduate students form an integral part of the student community. Keeping in line with my vision to involve every member of the student community in the cultural scene, I plan to launch a couple of initiatives which I hope will help achieve this. The first is orientation sessions for the postgraduate students in their departments. A lot of postgraduate students spend more time in their departments and have a greater department affiliation than their hostel affiliation, and I believe that this will really help us reach out to more postgraduate students. I also plan to conduct interdepartment postgraduate culturals, which will allow for greater department bonding. Lastly, I would like to improve the current system of information dissemination that we have by launching a LITSOC and Cultural Club mobile application. This application will contain details about all the clubs, the various activities that will take place on campus as far as the cultural scene is concerned, and will also provide updates. Through my tenure as the events core for Sarang this year, I worked very closely with the 10 cultural clubs as well as LITSOC, and what I did notice were the ways in which the clubs were severely lacking and the immense potential they all have to grow. I plan to launch a club constitution which will provide a set of guidelines that the clubs could choose to follow, and this, I believe, will give them a solid structure that will help facilitate their workings and streamline all their activities. I plan to conduct a club open house which will happen in the beginning of the odd semester, where all the clubs will be given a chance to showcase the activities that they have conducted, plan to conduct, and I believe will be a good platform for various students to get to know about the 10 cultural clubs. This is particularly important for the freshmen, considering the new room allocation system that we have. I also plan to launch a club yearbook that will serve as documentation for the activities that the clubs have carried out throughout the year and will be made available online. What I also believe will help make the clubs more inclusive and more accessible is an exclusive space in the hostel zone. This will ensure that the clubs reach out to more people and aren't concentrated away from the hostel zone. Keeping in line with my vision of making the cultural activities more inclusive, I'd like to make LitSoc more inclusive by launching a new vertical of events, the Online Events Weekend. This will consist of events such as cryptex, online quizzes, flash fiction, and so on. The motivation behind this being that students can be a part of LitSoc without having to leave their rooms. Having been a part of Sarang for 4 years in different capacities, first as a volunteer, twice as a coordinator, and once as a core, I've seen a number of different ways in which Sarang can expand, diversify, reach out to more people, as well as the many drawbacks that Sarang has, and have identified solutions for the same. I'd like to talk about the few ways in which I'd like to tackle these problems. The first is transparency. I plan to have greater transparency for the festival on the whole by introducing documentation, extensive documentation through the ERP or the Enterprise Resource Portal. Another thing that I plan to do that I believe will help the festival function better is better coordinator training and skill development to ensure that coordinators take away more than just a resume point at the end of their 8-month tenure. I also plan to associate with Shastra wherever possible to build on the IIT Madras band and ensure that both the fest complement each other rather than compete with each other. Sarang is a festival that has been built on its events, and I'd love to expand on the events that we presently have and diversify them by adding vernacular events, online events, and events that focus on fun and informal activities.
Samvita, it's done. Thank you.
I just have one more slide.
Supreet, you can ask your questions. You just come this way.
Hi Samvita, your manifesto serves as very good referral to the previous Sarang and LitSoc, since more than 50% of your manifesto is already happened. And coming to your point, coming to the point, you have mentioned that scheduling LitSoc events in a manner conducive to PG participation. This year, 12 out of 36 events were postponed. Some due to some redundant issues such as miscommunication. Some were postponed just before 2 hours of the event, and some were postponed through a semester. So, how will you make sure that a schedule which will be conducive for PG students when there was no schedule which was conducive for the UG students?
Guys, please.
Regarding the question about manifesto, I believe there was a manifesto review that was recently conducted, and most manifestos are not more than 30% complete. Another thing that I believe will help me achieve my entire manifesto is the fact that as an events core, I had a really good insight into the number of things that can go wrong, and especially where we can improve. And I believe that everything in my manifesto is feasible and can be achieved.
But don't you think this was the very poor LitSoc year, and we had 30% decrease in the participation? What do you comment on?
I would not disagree that this was a very poor year for LitSoc, because we were faced with a lot of issues considering that freshies weren't in UG hostels, and LitSoc is something that has always been run by the freshies of every hostel. We had to restructure LitSoc. This is something that came in very late, and we did try to reach out to the freshmen by organizing a few freshie LitSoc events. As far as scheduling is concerned, yes, I do admit there were a lot of issues with scheduling, many of which were actually not in our hands. For the entire odd semester, venues are a major constraint, considering the fact that CLT is always used for placements every evening and CRC is used for placement tests. Primarily, a lot of the reasons for rescheduling was the lack of venues, and I hope to tackle that by introducing new venues next year. The first is the Students Facility Center where co-op once used to be. There's going to be the first floor will be used for student activities, and also the floor below the current dean's office, which is the Gymkhana office, will be cleared out and used for student activities.
Supreet, last question. This is the last question, guys.
About transparency, you are told you'll use ERP, but I hope ERP is used to maintain the organizational planning. And see, transparency basically says that you have to communicate with the public. It's not about within the organization. So how will you ensure that you will be communicating with the public throughout the semester, throughout the year?
I agree. Yes, it's a very good question. This year, as a core team, we will be publishing a report similar to what Shastra did. We are waiting to complete all our payments and waiting for all the sponsorship money to come in.
What initiative you have taken so that if a person want to know something about Sarang in the semester, in the year, any time, what initiative you have taken to clear that?
The ERP, as we speak, is presently being worked on to have greater functionality. So it will also have the facilities of uploading bills, maintaining bill numbers.
ERP is not for the transparency. ERP is used to organization planning. It's used to...
The ERP is not restricted to that alone. It can be expanded, and I have spoken to the current WebOps for Kartikeya about this. It will have all this functionality next year. The ERP can be used to maintain financial transparency as well and can be made public.
To run clubs for food, which will require sufficient investment and safety. Also, what is your value addition to it, considering it was part of the previous year's Kalsek manifesto?
Right, so the most popular club, Dramatics, that is not entirely true. The club with the most members is actually the Fine Arts Club, which has 160 members. All these clubs are in very, very nascent stages and are growing. These clubs will only get bigger. There are more people who are being added to these clubs every day, and this number will only grow. One thing I would like to point out with the new clubs that I plan to launch is that these are clubs that will be based on common interests and not skills. The 10 clubs that we have presently are centered around skills. These clubs will be based on interests, the motivation being to bring people with similar interests together. That's why something like anime, gaming, or and just to clarify, the food club is not a club that will cook, it's a club that will explore cuisines. I do have a plan of implementation for this. So the new clubs will come into recognition only if they have a certain number of members. This will be regulated by the LitSoc website, which will have an ad club facility. So only when the clubs reach a particular number of members will they be eligible to ask for recognition from the institute. One thing I would like to clarify is that only when they reach this limit will they be given space and funding only wherever possible. This is something that will be left up to the discretion of the cultural advisor and the cultural secretaries.
You mentioned Heritage Walk as a first point, considering the exact same thing happened on 9th February 2014 by Spick McKay, where 32 people participated, including first years, which was little above the maximum cap they had, and they went to cultural hotspots such as Mylapore and Santhom. Sorry. What is your contribution towards this idea, and how are you going to make it different?
Okay, so my idea is not just heritage walks, it's a Chennai Heritage Club. So it will do more than just heritage walks. It will also conduct movie screenings. It will conduct things like Chennai quizzes. It will also celebrate Madras Day. The motivation, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that we live in a city which is rich with history and culture, and many of us are quite unaware of that fact.
Next question is from a Sarang core team member. One of your points regarding film festival was already looked upon this year. I hope you know that we were in conversation with Indie Earth wherein we were supposed to hold an outdoor film festival throughout the 4 days of Sarang, as you mentioned, but we cancelled it because of feasibility issues such as constraints on budget, no feasible venue, and clearly no value addition to Sarang. What are your plans for the same this year, and how are you tackling these issues?
Yes, I am aware of the fact that we were in conversation with India. It was cancelled because of number of issues that weren't just feasibility. The fact that the venue we had originally decided on was supposed to be used for the carnival lounge, which ultimately got scrapped. We do plan to use the same space for the film screening. I believe that the issues regarding the budget and clearly no value addition aren't really that valid, because a lot of people have asked for a film festival that does not happen on just one day of Sarang. This is something that I did bring back after speaking to a lot of people. So I do believe this will be a value addition.
As you mentioned about gaming tournament in Sarang, we had a gaming tournament where PS4 were used for the first time in India, and we gave PS3 as the first prize. It was right outside CLT. How is your point any different from this, and how are we going to build on this?
The exact point in my manifesto states a board games challenge and a gaming tournament. So this will be a gaming lounge that will have not just PS3 and PS4, but also a whole bunch of board games. Again, this will be a chill out lounge, which will be located near SAC.
Sarang Unaya and Artwork exhibition. As part of this, we had well-publicized plan of book donation. It didn't work well as planned, but we did conduct such a drive. Also, we have Dreams on Canvas art exhibition held in ICSR every year. Even there is nothing new in your exhibition point. Why do you think these points mandated repetition?
Okay, the artwork exhibition Dreams on Canvas did not happen this year, because we had it instead as a part of the Fine Arts flagship event which happened in October last year. What I plan to do is bring not just Dreams on Canvas back, but also get exhibits. The World Fest are often more than happy to give us films to screen as well as art exhibits, and this is what I exactly mean by the artwork exhibition. As far as the Noya point is concerned, yes, I agree that it didn't work as well as planned. But I believe with greater publicity, the book donation drive is something that does have a pretty huge audience.
Okay, I'll open the floor for questions from GSP. Seasonal.
We also tried to do this year, like what are your plans to do that? Basically not just putting on a manifesto, because we have a lot of logistical issues. Because we were in our team, we tried to do this year, like Sarang Rush was one of the major height of Sarang Rush was this coordinating skills. But that also we couldn't do. So we are planning to get the people who are going to train us and the monetary money or any other logistical help for this. What is your plan for it?
I believe that we do not need to outsource this, because the cores of every department are extremely capable people who are quite capable of conducting coordinator skill development themselves. And I believe with a team of extremely capable cores, this is something that we can do before the summer. During the summer and immediately after the summer in the beginning of the autumn semester. This is particularly important in the context of the fact that none of the first years this year were allowed to be volunteers. Therefore, they don't have the basic organizational experience that most coordinators usually come in with.
So it's almost like a one-day session which we give just before the...
Right, and these are particularly important this year because freshies have not been volunteers, so the exposure to Sarang from an organizational perspective is very minimal.
Go ahead.
Right, I'm a BTech freshman, and if I have to summarize my LitSoc experience for you, I have absolutely nothing to say. So the few orientation sessions that were held, they had no follow-through whatsoever. And the Freshie LitSoc which was held, there was minimal participation. So what do you have to cater to the needs of Freshies who form a large proportion of the people who will enter the institute from now on?
Okay. So one of the major issues that we had and we weren't able to successfully tackle this year is that of timing. We did not conduct any freshman activities in the first 1.5 months. For that matter, we did not conduct any institute activities in the first 1.5 months for anybody. Litsoc did not start till after quiz 1, and that reduced the exposure that freshmen would even have to the cultural activities that do take place in the institute. What I plan to do is start club activities early so that freshmen at least have some exposure before they are officially allowed to participate. They cannot compete, but they can witness.
Yeah. So you have mentioned points like PG Litsoc, Anime Club, which were mentioned in last year's Culsex manifestos also, and also you have a point in club constitutions. You were an events code, so why didn't you initiate this when you were closer to events and clubs?
Right, so I just like to clarify, I am actually only a Sarang events code. My responsibilities are actually only Sarang, but I did work very closely with the 10 cultural clubs. The cultural clubs are technically directly under the cultural secretary. What I did see firsthand was the issues that the clubs faced, and I have figured out ways in which these can be tackled next year, the club constitution being the best way to do that.
Okay. Alright, 1 more minute. Yeah, I'll give it to you. Hello? 1 here and 1 there, that's it.
That time we didn't have.
Hi.
That time we didn't have.
Samvita, this is just to know your stand on this. Are you supportive of the idea of using abusive language or misuse of authoritative power along with your subordinates or your team members? Just answer me yes or no. If no, you had sent an abusive email to Abhishek Basu.
She can choose not to answer any question. And,
does she choose to not answer this?
I choose to not answer that question because I believe it's slightly personal.
Do you accept that you did this? You sent an abusive email to Abhishek?
I choose to
like you can't. Guys, she can choose. Just pass the mic, man. Pass the mic, please.
Yeah. As in, it's a hypothetical question. Given you are the cultural secretary and you have limited resources, and you have a Litsoc event and Sarang event coming up, where should the cultural secretary put in the resources according to you?
Okay, so the cultural secretary has to
Pass
give...
the mic, man. Just give it to them.
has to give equal importance to Litsoc and Sarang. Neither is more important than the other. So the resources will have to be allocated between both equally.
Yeah, hello Samvita. So I just feel that Sarang is now inclined towards commercialization because this year we didn't have any night being dedicated to the events. So being an events co, what do you really feel about this? Every year we have Sarangs and decibels being performing on the big stage, considering the fact that a lot of colleges come here to perform on the big stage. So now we don't have that. So what do you really feel about this? Being an events co.
Yeah, one thing that I do agree with you is the fact that yes, we have become more commercial and we are moving away from, the focus is shifting away from events. What we did manage to do this year to a large extent is bring a little bit of the focus back. For the first time ever, events had a prize money of more than 10L. It's never been more than 9, this time it was close to 13. We also had immense event incentivization. All of our events, particularly the music, dramatics, writing events, had incentivization. We had sponsorship and PR deals that looked at giving more to the giving more value addition to their skills. What I do plan to do, however, is bring Tarang and Decibels back to OAT, and so that the finalists, if not all, do get to perform.
Yeah, please go ahead. Last question. So, you plan... Sorry, it's on a time constraint, not on how many people want to ask questions. I'm sorry. We have to end fast, right? 10 o'clock is a booking time, so sorry.
You plan to celebrate festivals through the budgets of hostel secretaries, but hostel secretary's budget is not in your jurisdiction. So how can you plan to do something when you're not even sure that you'll get the money?
This is the point in my manifesto because I do plan to talk to the aspiring secretaries about it beforehand so that they can plan for it and appropriately include it in their hostel budgets and get it hopefully passed in the GBM.
So the hostel budget this year has only per semester 1,000 rupees per student. So do you think they'll agree to it? Even this year they had the Dandiya night. The secretaries were not obligated to do it. For a fact, a lot of secretaries didn't do it. So how can you ensure this year they'll do it?
As you mentioned yourself, this is not something that I can force secretaries to do. It will be up to the hostels, their wardens and the hostel residents to decide whether they would want to be a part of this festival or not. That said, the response to this particular point has been really good. A lot of people do want to celebrate festivals on an institute level. So I believe this is something that can be passed in majority of the hostels, if not all.
Okay, thank you, Samvita. Okay, Supreet, you can start now.
Hi, I'm Supreet Hegde. I'm contesting for the post of Cultural Affairs Secretary Literary. My mission for cultural activities in institute is to make sure that each and every individual is involved in at least one cultural activity. It might be clubs, Litsoc or Sarang. Right now, why is it not happening? Because people haven't realized why these things are there in first place. See, clubs are there to inculcate the culture. Clubs are there to involve people. So once a person feels confident about a particular activity, then he can take place in Litsoc. Then he can take place in Litsoc, which is the platform to showcase his talent. Then comes Sarang, which is the ultimate stage for him. So what is the current scenario in our institute? See, as I said, 12 out of 36 Litsoc events were postponed. Litsoc participation reduced by 30%. Membership in one of the more popular, which I just clarified with Samvita, that the more popular club is the Fine Arts Club, which has 136 events, 136 members. And as we see that there are only 600 to 700 unique participants in Litsoc and clubs, which is less than 10% of total population. We have been seeing decreasing enthusiasm of institute public in Sarang. What are the issues with this? Lack of publicity for clubs, especially targeted publicity. Lack of awareness in freshers and PG. Lack of planned club activities. Improper scheduling of Litsoc events. Litsoc, little connect between institute public and Sarang. How will I handle this? See, right now people get S-mails to each and every club when everyone is not interested in each and every club. So if we'll be having a Litsoc portal up in a month or so, we'll be having a membership tab for each and every club. So if a person is interested in a particular club, he can opt for that membership. And we'll be sending in SMS whenever there is an event for that. And also, since clubs are very important and freshers can be only tapped through clubs, so we'll be having a club weekender for the freshies, wherein we'll be having demonstration, workshop, events. Why demonstration? See, demonstration is very important because if we want to get an enthusiasm out of a freshie, we should show what clubs are doing right now. It's not being done right now. So one more thing, Sarang orientation session, we don't get enough people because there are no performance or something which is entertaining for the freshies. So get semi-professional bands or get institute clubs performing such as Stagecoach, the last year Stagecoach, so that freshers will come and attend these sessions. See, our base is clubs. We should first empower the base and then go moving broader in Sarang or Litsoc, everything. So what I want to do is first have a club constitution so that we have proper structure of the club, we have proper timelines for the clubs, what the clubs need to do. And also right now the problem is there aren't proper publicity for the clubs. So have independent publicity and sponsorship team. Also I have a long-term vision of having hostel captains. See, right now this will be started with one couple of clubs so that we'll be moving on whenever there is a broadening of the club. See, every club I want to have an initiative so that each and every club plan for something. So example, I have planned for a writing club, I have planned IIT Anthology, wherein we'll be getting articles, sketches or poetry So that we'll be publishing a magazine out of it during Sarang. My vision for Sarang is to make sure that each and every person look forward for Sarang. Right now, people don't feel it's our institute festival. That feel is not there. So, because people feel that everyone doesn't feel it's our institute festival because we have been seeing decreasing attendance in Sarang. So, what is the issue is people feel there are a lot of questions which should be answered. So, I want to make Sarang transparent. So I want to have Sarang town hall meeting wherein the Sarang steering committee will be answering each and every question of institute public. And also one more thing, we want to diversify professional shows. So we want to have things like stand-up comedy, we want to have things like theatre play, all those things. One more important, we want to have some events during late night such as dumb charades, wolf, all those things. So as a publicity coordinator, I started Sarang Milan in my second year for the first time in Bangalore region. So I want to expand this using having Sarang half ticket. So which will be mainly aiming at getting school students to Sarang. What also I thought is we'll be having a Sarang van which will be roaming around throughout the Chennai in partnering with the radio partner. I was handling Radio City this time, so I have already talked to them. So we'll be announcing things about Sarang, we'll be taking sound bites from people and it will be broadcasted on air. As an integral member of Sarang team, what I want to do is merge publicity and ticket sales. So you can just see the graph, that the publicity graph. So there is a peak between when there is Sarang Milans, all those things happening. And in a ticket sales graph, there is a peak when institute sales happen. So when you combine that, we will be having the work distributed and the graph comes down. Workload. I have talked to all the coordinators.
Guys, you'll get time for questions later. Supreet, move on.
As an integral part of institute, what I realized is we haven't been collaborating with other institutions, other organizations. So I'll be collaborating with IIR in bringing out a cultural weekend for alumni, wherein we'll be using this data to get a database out of Litsoc and the people involved in Litsoc and Sarang, so that we can use it for sponsorships. What also I realized is collaboration with Hostel Affairs Secretary, we'll be bringing out a food festival in collaboration with the Samitis, Sanghas, and we'll be having each and every region displaying their food, and whole institute will come together and celebrate this festival. As a member of PR team, what I realized is Sarang, it should not be just for a few times where we just go and teach for the underprivileged kids for a week or so. So what I want to do is broaden it throughout the semester in collaborating with NSS. What is my motivation? So, see, when I was in my first year, I was a part of dramatics team in my hostel, as you can see. So when I wanted to take part in institute dramatics team, I went for the stagecoach audition.
Time up. Yeah. Samvita, you can go ahead.
Okay, so my question is about merging the publicity and ticket sales team. Don't you think that will make Sarang very pro-show-centric and take away from event publicity?
This is what exactly I thought. See, during the semester, ticket sales won't be having much work. So, if we merge them to publicity will get a lot of manpower so that they can do more event publicity.
Western classical night idea. Professional artists abroad will cost a lot more than Indian artists. Are you going to keep it as a non-ticketed show or will it be charged?
We will be contacting this Western classical artists through embassies. As you know, world culture shows are not very expensive. We need to only give them accommodation and a transportation charge. So.
The Sarang night events as well as the usage of the institute swimming pool for water absorbing. These are two things that I personally tried to do as an events code this year and I wasn't given permission by the administration. What makes you think you will do it?
Let me clarify one thing. Institute pool was opened on January 26th.
Institute swimming pool, there are a lot of safety issues. At max, it can accommodate probably 100 people. Also, the kind of acts that you plan to bring will definitely not be available in India. You will have to get people from abroad. Do you think the funding, the amount of money that we'll have to spend for that is worth the 100 people who will only get to watch it?
See, again, coming to the water performance, before putting it in my manifesto, I talked to the embassies, Goethe Institute and Alliance Francaise. So they have said they know the people who are into these performances, and they'll be giving me the contact details in a week or so. So this issue will be dealt. And regarding the number of people accommodation, we'll be having a number of performance as we saw in roadshow this year. So something like that will be handling the issue of the crowd.
Admin permission for both late nights and swimming pool.
Yeah. Regarding late night, the issue is security. So if we conduct some music or some dance event, it will be very problem. So pool for dumb charades or karaoke, I don't think so. It's a big problem. We do have in lawns, we sit till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
What about manpower? You do realize that at the end of the day, after pro shows, coordinators are tired.
Samvita, last question.
If we have a particular team meant for it, then there is no issue. We don't. Right now, we don't have a team meant for it. Information doesn't only involve cultural affairs secretary and the core committee, also involves the steering committee members, which is dean of students and cultural advisor. So if cultural affairs secretary is involved in some shady issues, then the dean of students will be handling this right to information act.
In your write-up, you mentioned that having been in the publicity, sponsorship and PR department of Sarang, it has given you a better perspective of Litsock and Sarang. In what way is being sponsor and PR coordinator related to Litsock events? Please clarify.
Yeah. In my write-up, I have mentioned it has given me a better perspective about clubs. I also mentioned clubs, Litsock and Sarang. So what I think, the events in Sarang are most of the events in Sarang are also in Litsock. There is nothing different in Litsock in terms of events. The essence of event is same whether you take Litsock or Sarang or clubs. So since I was involved in publicizing each and every event in Sarang, I was involved in selling each and every event in Sarang, I have a better perspective over why this event happens, what is the essence of this event.
Next question is, I believe the major issue is lack of publicity of cultural activities in the institute and specially targeted publicity of clubs. How are you planning to solve this issue?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So, for the publicity of clubs, first of all, start with the freshers. Have a club weekend, which I have already talked about it. And one more thing which I didn't mention in my manifesto because I was in talks with the Times of India. So we'll be having a club, this cultural newsletter every month from the Times of India. So if you were aware of, if you were in Sarang this time, you might have seen a Sarang newsletter which you can see here also. So something like this we'll be having every month, wherein we'll be telling things about what are the clubs are there, what events they are having. So even it will be very useful in uploading people who win Litsock or Sarang. Right now one basic problem is we aren't uploading people who win Litsock or Sarang. If we upload people, then they will be enthusiastic over participating again and again.
In your write-up, you mentioned that because you did not get selected for stage coach, your enthusiasm for dramatics declined. However, Stagecoach is supposed to be a very professional play and requires the most talented actors, and that is why the dramatic club exists. You could have joined the club and learn as much as you can while in the club as part of the production, and in future you could have acted in Stagecoach. So my question is, how does this point have any relation to your manifesto?
Yes, I do agree. Stagecoach is meant for the talented ones. But one initiative which the dramatics club took this year was very good. Like if the people who didn't get selected for stagecoach, they made a second team out of it and then sent to the other college festivals. So this thing should be done in each and every club. So I wasn't aware of the thing that if you are not getting selected to the stagecoach, you can get involved in the
Dramatics.
In the team and then get to the club next year. So no awareness is there. Each and every person in institute don't know about this. So what I want to do is bring this to people, make people aware of it.
Okay, this is the last one. In your write-up, you mentioned about stand-up comedy, but already this has happened. This year, Sarang, Tamil stand-up comedy has happened. Obviously, due to its success, it would expand and become better next year. How is this point a new initiative?
Tamil stand-up comedy was an event. It was not a professional show. The one which I am proposing is a professional show, stand-up comedy, such as AIB, TVF. This year, AIB was almost wanting to come, but event course said there was no budget for accommodating them, so we couldn't have it. So next year, we'll be surely trying to have it.
Okay, I'll open the floor for questions. Abhiram, you would like to go first? And okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay,
Supreet, so you were talking about the Sarang late nights, right? And you plan to have some informal events late in the night. We had a similar proposal this year, but then there were security issues, etc., due to which the administration thought it was a bad idea, and we felt the same as well. So how do you plan to overcome this?
See, I have already discussed with the Dean of Students. So the karaoke, if it is in something in CLT, and if we take the security measures such as we'll be having it from 11:30 to 12:30, example. So it is not of an issue because till 1 o'clock people will be there in the food stalls, and there is no restriction about that. Again, wolf and dumb sharers, I don't think so it's an issue.
Kila, first let it go over there. They ask first.
Ask the question.
Hi. You said you were a sponsorship coordinator last year. So why is it that event cause have to search for their own sponsors? For example, Western music, most of the time was spent after the sponsorship. One more question is regarding the SMS server. You guys barely managed to pull through with the budget. So how can you offer an SMS server that actually costs 5L to get the license to send SMSs?
As you mentioned, I was a sponsor coordinator. So the second question which I'll answer is SMS server we will be getting through a deal. So if you are aware of this year's Shastra deal, there was a cap system deal with the Shastra for the SMS server, and it didn't happen because there was a problem with the WebOps team of Shastra. So we'll be having something like this.
Team, the company didn't contact us after that.
One last question over there and then the mic will come here. Last question.
Yeah. So my question is about Sarang. You didn't answer the previous question.
Is that?
Yeah. See, it's not like every event code has to search for sponsors. So we did get sponsors for Decibels. We did get sponsors for all the writing events. So it's not like every event has to search. It's about the main events we get. We have a team of 8, and it's not that we can cover total Sarang each and every event.
No, see, the thing is the major events that actually require the courts to put in a lot of work, you seem to have asked them to search for sponsors. Don't you think that's unfair as the event courts?
Example.
WM, Western Music and Light Music, they search for their own sponsors.
Decibels.
Scrap the power chords deal.
The sponsor code wants to clarify something.
Just with each and every event coordinator, and we had asked them to send us a spreadsheet, share us a spreadsheet which contains the tentative sponsors we can look for. But we didn't get any response from the event coordinators.
Guys, pass the mic over.
If we have such a coordinator, so
Supreet, one question. You said Sarang Unoya will be modeled as an NSS project. The idea of Sarang Unoya was to reach out and at least perform some service to the society using Sarang's reach.
Exactly.
I mean, making this an NSS project is definitely not something that is actually using.
See, as you said, the motto of Sarang Unoya should be reaching out more people.
Just pass the mic over here. Sorry,
So-
you can't. Sorry, you can't ask any more questions. Sorry, like there are people who would like to ask questions. I'm sorry, I can't do that. We'll come back to you after everybody is done if the time is
The mic
permitting.
didn't come here the last time.
Oh really? There are two people who asked questions.
The mic didn't come for Samvita. When Samvita was answering questions, the mic didn't come here. So, the question I want to ask is why is it that event coordinators had to make their own MOUs? I'm a member of the GSB and I have every right to ask this question. When conveners are sitting here, I don't understand how you can talk about things you haven't consulted about. The Writing Club anthology is actually happening. I'm the convener and I'm telling you it is. So it's not a manifesto point. You didn't ask me that. Also, why is it that event coordinators have to make their own MOUs? Answer that question. Thank you.
Please pass the mic. Please pass the mic.
Did you contact anyone, any sponsorship coordinator for making MOUs, or did you just assume that there was no support from the sponsorship?
Good. You should.
Supreet, my question is to
Gunju, after that Kela, then Suraj, and you are there in the pipeline, and Supreet, yeah. Siddharth, sorry.
yeah, my question is to both the Kalsec candidates. I don't know if Sam can still
that will
answer
come
it.
later. You can ask the question later.
Okay. I'll just ask it. She can answer it later.
No,
he can
Gunju.
answer it right now. She can answer it later when she comes up back on the stage.
Just let them answer it
Let me
together.
finish my question.
No, what is the point? You'll get time. I'll give you mic.
I am not sure whether the mic will come back to me. That's
It
why.
will.
Yeah. My question is, there was a point in Samvita's manifesto that mentioned about clubbing publicity efforts of both Shastra and Sarang. I would like you to answer whether any efforts on those lines were done this year. If so, what? And whether that point was entirely correct, not correct at all, was already implemented. Like this is just to check your groundwork, both of you.
See, first thing, the point which was in our manifesto, clubbing publicity of Shastra and Sarang, it is very difficult. Because Shastra has their deadlines much before the Sarang deadlines, and they have their Milans much before the Sarang Milans. And Shastra won't get anything out of it if they collaborate with Sarang. And coming to the second point, you were asking whether there were any efforts in clubbing this year's Shastra and Sarang. See, I already know that there was efforts regarding putting up some posters, all those things, because the Shastra and Sarang during the December they visit same colleges, and it will be redundant if the two coordinators from the same college go to the same college again and again. So there was collaboration in these terms, not in the major terms such as collaborating the whole team or something like that.
Hey, Supreet.
Let her complete. It's a comment.
Okay, so yes, there were a few measures taken. Primarily, I'd like to point out the case of the school quiz where Sarang conducted a school quiz and Shastra conducted a school quiz, and there was no coordination. So what we ended up doing was diluting the IIT Madras brand. It looked like Shastra and Sarang were competing with each other, And this is something that has happened in other colleges as well. What I would like to do is club our publicity measures, particularly here. I'd like to point out something that Supreet said about Shastra's deadlines being much earlier than Sarang. Not necessarily and not always. There are many cases where the deadlines are quite close, and we can definitely start our publicity measures early. We have nothing to lose in that regard.
Supreet, your...
Regarding school quiz, I don't know if you're aware, it never diluted anything because Shastra did not conduct a school quiz in Chennai because Sarang had already did it.
Supreet, no doubt your idea about IIT is very good. As a Shastra core, we also tried to implement this year, and people appreciated it. But when I talked about this with current cultural affairs secretaries and Sarang finance course, they said there are certain things, certain issues in Sarang which can't be shared with public. Like how much money is being paid to the performers of Popular Night and Rock Show, and how much money is being spent on the official and non-official core and coordinated treats of Sarang. So what if these questions are asked in your Sarang town hall meeting and the RTI, how will you address those questions?
Coming to the professional show, so we can announce the total budget of a professional show. If not, each and every like what did we pay for a particular artist. See, what did we pay for a particular artist is not necessary for the institute students. What they need is what was the total budget of a particular professional show, which can be released. And the second thing you were telling, unofficial and official course. See, first of all, next year we won't be having any unofficial course. Secondly, you are talking about the budget of the treats or something. Core treats, yeah. Core treats are passed officially, and there is no unofficial core treats. Core treats are passed officially.
Please ask your question. You make it fast.
Hi Supreet. Okay, there's been a lot of controversy on this, so I'm just going to clarify this. It's a factual thing. As far as Times of India was concerned, they came for the rock show sponsor and decibels, and it was not a deal that was cracked by the sponsor team, but Supreet handled it once it was cracked. So that's just a factual clearing up. Now my questions to you are this. Okay, you say transparency. I want to know transparency at what level? Giving people some information or not other information is not transparency. That is controlled giving of information. That's one thing. Second thing is, what opinion do you have about the current structure of the OAT shows? I think this was asked to Samvita, and I want to ask you the same thing. Tarang and Decibels Night, in my first year, for example, there were 4,000 or 5,000 people in there for Tarang finals. Okay, so what is your view on this? And finally, I want to know, see, there's among 4 cultural secretary manifestos that I've seen, it's not really, that there's a vast difference in the points that are raised, which is fine. I mean, what we need right now is, I feel, people who can execute ideas, not, come up with something that's infeasible and then, not deliver. We need people who can execute. So I want to know what you bring to the table. I think this is also something that I'd like to ask Samvita.
See, in an organization, everything can't be answered to the people. If you take the Government Act of Right to Information also, they don't answer this issues with military or something. So if you take our issues, in case of Sarang, something like that, we can't see what people need. Why do people need about how much you paid a particular professional show or a particular performer? They need how much did you spend on a particular professional show because it's their show. Like what expenses you are talking about?
I don't know. When people talk about transparency, what they want to see is not ballpark figures that, we got X amount in sponsorship, what we spend in pro shows, what we spend in this. why is there such a clamor for transparency? Why are people asking for transparency? It's because people suspect that the money is not being used as you claim it is. So when you give certain information, that is not doing anything to dispel the notion that the money is not being used properly. You get it? I mean, when either be open or not open is what I'm saying.
See, if there is a particular question on it, like something like how much did you, like, where did you spend all this money? All those things, if you have a doubt particular to a particular scene, you can ask. But if there is doubt like each and every, give me the details of what did you pay for each and every professional artist, it can't be given. So you tell me, you ask, we do have the forum, we do have the forum for it. And if you have some specific question regarding any particular event, how much was spent, how did it was spent, we can answer that. Like,
we'll move on to the next question. Like, can you have this discussion with him later? Huh?
About how choreo night money was being spent, and I think Professor LSG replied to that.
Yeah.
So there are such, I mean, if people want to know right now, they can already ask. So what is this RTI or town hall or anything bringing new to the table is my question.
Yeah,
okay,
right
we'll
now.
end with that. Sorry. Next Siddharth and then Suraj, and we are ending.
Right now, cores are not answerable to anyone's question. This will make sure that cores are also answerable to the questions of the public.
Go ahead. He had a question in that.
Yeah, something regarding a professional show, it should be discussed with each and everyone in the organizing team, because it's not a particular person's decision. If you think about if you ask about my decision, see, Tarang and Decibels are being, the winners are being already given the stage, and the Tarang was this time.
Guys, please don't add to it, man. I'm sorry, but like if you are not satisfied with his answer, you can discuss it personally. Okay.
Yeah, Tarang didn't get a stage because there was a problem with the sound check this time, which couldn't get passed.
Go ahead, please, fast. Yeah, we'll take it up at the last. Okay? Yeah, please let him go ahead.
Yeah, hello Supreet. So this is regarding your...
Go take the mic, you will end with it.
This is regarding your experience as a sponsorship and PR coordinator for Sarang. So as you may know, sponsorship for Sarang has been slightly declining over the years, and if not anything, it's been a element of constant concern associated with sponsorship. So when a sponsor was applying for Cultic, I was actually happy that you would actually bring something to the table that was new. But there is actually nothing in your manifesto that actually addresses the sponsorship issue for Sarang. And I want to know why. Is it because you haven't internalized this problem, or is there nothing you think you can do as a culture?
As a cultural affairs secretary, I didn't want to specifically mention about sponsorship, because people do think that he only knows about sponsorship and PR. So as a cultural affairs secretary, I wanted to mention the diversified events, what the bigger things. The sponsorship, if you ask me what was the problem this year, we had to, what will be changing next year will be approaching through the events, like we'll be sectionizing through the events rather than verticals, which was one flaw. One more thing, did you get my point? No. Okay. So, if you were in any Sarang team, you might have got this point.
I was in event squad. I was in Sarang event squad.
Sponsorship.
I was a Sarang event squad in my second year, so I know how Sarang works.
The sponsorship team.
I'm just telling you this because we had emails from common sponsors that actually said Shastra was way better than Sarang in terms of handling the sponsors. I think you can really improve something here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Supreet, you had a lot to say about event scheduling. We have all discussed with the club conveners, we know the issues. Placements are going to be there next odd sem. Event sem is going to be jam-packed with a lot of activities like Shoiter and all such things. How can you guarantee that Litsoc event schedule will not be messed up like this time?
As Samvita said it, we'll be getting a first floor in the Quark zone, and we'll also be getting...
I want to know what you are going to do to ensure that the Litsoc schedule is not postponed.
We'll be getting the space in the hostel zone, which is the first floor of the Zaitun.
So,
In terms of what I wanted to ask you is manifestos wise, all 4 manifestos this year do not have any bombastic points or anything. I want to know what you guys bring to the table in terms of execution, because what we need, I feel, from Sarang, from Litsock, and from when you propose an idea, you see it through. I want to know what you guys bring to the table that will ensure that.
Okay, I've been a part of Sarang for 4 years in different capacities, once as a volunteer, twice as a coordinator, once as a coach. I've been a part of 2 key departments at Sarang. As a professional shows coordinator, I interacted very heavily with the ticket sales, security and marketing departments, publicity as well. I worked very closely with international artists, their managers, embassies, vendors and hospitality people. This year, I am currently the events coach. I headed a team of 100 coordinators. We organized over 60 events at Sarang. We are in the process of organizing 40 Litsock events. I've worked with the 10 cultural clubs and I've achieved. So I believe I have a lot of experience. I've seen the lows and the highs of Sarang and Litsock. I believe that I've seen the ways in which things can go terribly wrong, ways in which things can improve. I believe I will be the right person to head not just Sarang, not just Litsock, but the clubs as well.
Samvita and Supreet, both of you, we have very less time, so keep your answers short.
I'm glad you asked this question. As a publicity coordinator, I had our core, we had proposed the Sarang Milan for the first time, and it did happen only in Bangalore. It didn't happen anywhere, wherein every publicity coordinator had proposed it. One more thing, you are aware of what all were the things in this MOU of TOI. So we had 15 days, wherein the MOU had mentioned 10 days, which I was handling, and I extended the 10 days. Apart from the 10 ads, we got 5 more ads, which was because of the execution of mine. And I have one.
There's a common opinion. Okay. I've been here in the institute for 4 years. I think this opinion lies with most of them. Sarang courts and course selection are a lot political, and there will be a lot of politics in the elections. There will be a lot of promises done. First of all, do you agree to the fact? Second, if you agree, do you encourage it? Third, if you encourage it, why? And if you don't encourage it, what measures will you take to stop it?
I agree to your point, but I haven't been political since my first year. I haven't campaigned. Second thing, we won't be having any unofficial calls or courts, and since we have now right to information, there will be clarification regarding that.
Samvita.
Yeah. I agree with your point as well. We have unofficial course as proof of that fact. Yeah. I do not plan to have any politics come into my course selection process if elected as Cultural Affairs Secretary. There will be a transparent core and court selection process where score sheets will be maintained, peer evaluations will be conducted, and the entire selection process will be made extremely transparent.
Guys, we're ending this session. Thank you, Samvita and Supreet. Just one sec.